as of right this second. Over to you,
Wonderful.
Freddie.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I definitely want to go through some base explanation on the slides that I used when I walk through what is Ampcoil and how it works in the body. And I can probably do that in a very small amount of time, under 15 minutes. And then I thought we could do a little Q&A so we can get really specific, Shelley, on what happens to the body, especially brainwave states and voltage, as well as, we can do a deep dive on the voice print.
Awesome, because I think the voice print is just like, that blew me away. Once I knew that was a part of the Ampcoil, that kind of sold me. And I love it because it's a great way of tracking things as well, like just tracking our health.
Yeah, it's wonderful for the voice print. In my opinion, the voice print is really amazing as an empowerment piece, because you're looking at what your body needs that day. And I think what we realize is with the voice print is we can imagine, let's just take, for example, let's say there's 40 horses in the Kentucky Derby, which is a very famous race in the United States. And there's always going to be 40 horses, always. And who wins if we kept running that race day after day after day? It's always going to be different for the most part. And that's what energy is. That's what having maybe a visual field to look at Epstein-Barr and metals and Borrelia and Bartonella. They're all in the terrain. They're always in the terrain. And we don't ever completely eliminate. What we do is we rebalance and we repurpose. And we start working with the body's organs and organ systems to have a better understanding of how we can maintain robust health. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share screen. Oh, can you make me a co-host?
How do I do that, Freddie?
If you go on participants,
I think
you go over to my name, and there's a little drop-down arrow, and you can say promote to co-host.
Promote. Will it let you now, Freddie?
Let's see. There we go. Nailed it. Wonderful. So let me just minimize this, and I'm going to present. And these are all lovely people here who have chosen to Ampcoil in our community. The biggest question I get, if Freddie, we're in an elevator, how do I explain Ampcoil? It's a system that works with the energetic body, and we combine pulsed electromagnetic field, frequency delivery, and software, which is really key, to help the body's natural healing mechanisms operate as nature intended. We'll say Mother Nature in a box because the sine wave, or the frequency wave that we use, is a pure sine wave. And when I say sine wave, if you've ever seen a rolling sound wave, that's exactly how sound exists in nature, from a tree or a breeze. That's how the body comes into a state of harmony. The frequency delivery is all run from the Better Guide. So the app that everybody's seen at Shelley's clinic, scrolling up and down the menu, touching a journey. A journey on the Ampcoil system is just a collection of a couple hundred different frequencies in a specific order, amplitude, and duration. Those frequencies go from the tablet and through the amplifier, the little gray blocks, the gray box, and they're given enough power and amplitude to have efficacy in the body. That's the big difference with the Ampcoil system. There's lots of bioresonance and sound devices out there, but our frequencies go through that robust, high-end audio amplifier to get enough power to be effective in the body. After that, everything goes through the gold coil. And you can think of this just like a train. We're going to go tablet to amp to coil. It flows that way, just like an audio experience. So the coil is just turned into a speaker system. And all the frequencies are coupled with a magnetic field. I think that's the one thing people forget about Ampcoil. They want to put it in a category of pulsed electromagnetic field, and it's not. It's a bioacoustic magnetic field. That's a new term. That's Ampcoil, bioacoustic magnetic field. So the sound goes through the amp, goes through that coil, and the coil is just a speaker system for the whole Ampcoil. It's broadcasting sound and magnetics and enveloping your body. And the last stop is the human being. The human being is where that interaction between the magnetism and frequency brings into place this magic. It's just like the question I get all the time is, can I coil a couple times and have benefit? Of course. Can you go to a yoga class a couple times and have benefit? Of course. Can you go to the gym a couple times and work on your pectorals? Of course. Or your glutes? Yes. But if you want to have sustained improvement and you want to keep moving into a place of empowerment and betterment and better performance, then you'll keep working on that new skill. And working with your energy is a skill. And it's something that can be worked and amplified through entrainment. So the reason Ampcoil has an effect on your body is because you generate a magnetic field which originates from the heart. It goes up and around. It's a 4-foot field. It's called a toroidal field. The coil makes the same form of magnetic field. It goes up and around. So we're complementing your body's natural field. Incidentally, the planet has a north and a south pole emanating from its core, its molten lava core, with rings of iron and dirt, those oscillating patterns, and the rotation around the sun is also creating magnetism. So magnetism is really what holds our worlds together. There's this one little quote that I love here. I'll just read one sentence. And, you know, the resonance principle implies cellular absorption of healing sounds that are introduced to the body or their harmonics. So in sound healing or Ampcoil, the resonance principle is used to reharmonize cells that have been imprinted with a disruption. A troubling imprint or a disruption could be a metal, an emotional trauma, a pathogen, or noise pollution.
Absolutely.
This is much less like a game of Operation. This is not allopathic medicine where you're going in the game of, remember, did you guys play Operation with the tweezers and the bones?
Yeah, that was my favorite game.
It was like, right. So it's not removal. It's the idea that we've got all these different frequencies that we've added. I've added to the orchestra that is Freddie, because all my tissues, my fingernail, my skin, my teeth, my eyes, they all have a different texture because of the way or the rate at which they vibrate, the oscillating pattern. So all of a sudden, think about all these different, go ahead and touch your body, your bones, your knees, the hair on your legs, or wherever you have hair. You know, it's all a different texture, and that is defined by its oscillating pattern. That's another way of saying a sound. You are a collection of frequencies. You are an orchestra. So Ampcoil is saying, we've got an orchestra, and maybe I've got some instruments out of tune. Maybe it's the tuba or the xylophone or the drums. As opposed to kicking those instruments out of the orchestra, I'm going to take them in for a retuning, and I'm going to entrain them. I'm going to give them a new lesson.
Absolutely.
So the components that we use are PEMF, bioresonance, sound therapy, and software design. And so just the magnetism in your body, because you generate a magnetic field, it's increasing the transmembrane potential. Basically what's happening is each cell has positive charges on the outside, net positive. It has both, but a net negative on the inside. And the differential between those charges allows energy to flow in and out of the cell, or sodium, potassium ions. So what happens when that happens? The cell is breathing, it's respirating. Every cell breathes. It also dumps garbage. So when Shelly had environmental toxicity or mold toxicity, her cells couldn't dump the garbage. Yeah. They were slowed down. There was no voltage in her cells. That was chronic fatigue. There's no charge. So the cells can't even perform their day-to-day function. However, when you add magnetism, when you add energy from heat shock proteins like a sauna, when you add energy from a red light, all these things start to slowly work better. And it's a process of building that energy over time that's going to allow your cell to breathe and respirate. So when this happens, the oxygen goes up in your cell, the pH increases to an optimal balance. Keep in mind that like pH, the body's quite acidic. We wax and wane between acidity and alkalinity. And it's that state that exists just like a battery, just like a copper battery that allows you to hold voltage and charge. Too alkaline, you don't hold energy. Mm. So the idea of drinking alkaline water all day has never resonated with me personally. I think that the other thing that happens is we know ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, that is the currency of energy in the mitochondria, can increase. We can make almost 38 molecules of energy of ATP as opposed to 2. And this is increased by the magnetism.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going for.
That's what we're going for. So like, think about the magnetism that I just said. Oh, Freddie, wow, magnetism sounds great. Amazing. It is great. And then we use the magnetism, because remember I said it's like in and out and in and out of the cell. We use it to deliver these pre-programmed journeys like brain reboot, like pain release,
I
like organs.
are incredible, Freddie. These, like, I love, especially coming into winter, like the wellness ones and the cold ones and any pain release, because we see so many people in clinic with pains or arthritic pains or pains in their bodies. It's a game changer. And like you told me to do it with a toothache once, totally changed the toothache straight away. Like
Amazing.
it's amazing.
We get such great feedback, and it's very unique. Everybody's response is unique. I always tell people it's not, sometimes you just have to search for your magic formula of journeys, and there's guidelines. That's not dogma about how to use Ampcoil. You know,
And
we give formulas and theories, but really you're so unique what you bring to the story. What you run is really going to be tapping into what your body needs and really finding your intuitive instinctual voice.
And also the other one that I absolutely love is like Relaxor, like getting you parasympathetic, which is the beginning of all health and healing in the first place anyway. But that's a total game changer, especially later in the afternoon, or like it's just bliss.
Yeah, and I can show you, I have scans to show you what happens to the body before and after Relaxol that I'll go to next.
Thank you, Freddie.
I want to make two more points here, and then I'm gonna actually we'll stop this portion. I'm gonna go to another slide deck. When we say we're using frequencies for different areas of the body, we're using resonant frequencies that are going to light up different areas. So I've got here just a random chart of 10 hertz associated with a beneficial brainwave state. I've got 319 hertz associated with a kidney. Doctors like Jerry Tenen and Anthony Holland have established resonant frequencies using so many different tools. Some people use energy work, some people dowse, some people use a machine called a phase angle machine to decipher based on, remember I said tissue has different density. So based on its density, how do those different frequencies, it's like turning on the green light or the go button on that tissue. And they've established where these are in the body. So a sound journey on Ampcoil, like Relaxol that Shelley said, is a very specific collection of frequencies in an order. It's not, there's a lot of devices out there where you're going to get one device, you're going to play, they're like, you know, play 40 hertz for your body. You know, in my experience, why we have such magical results are the fact that we power it through the amplifier, but that you never really do the same combination of the same frequencies. You know, it's not just playing 40 hertz. It's an amplitude of 100 different frequencies in a very specific order that go into the software design of Ampcoil. So it's like resonance is like, let me see if this plays. Resonance is like pushing a child on a swing. You know, there's one moment to add a little bit of energy, so he'll go higher. If you were to push in the middle of the apex coming back towards you, you'd hurt yourself. You'd break your wrist, or that woman would be knocked over. That's resonance. The other great example I have is two dead tuning forks, right? They're metal. I strike one, waves and particles travel through space. The other tuning fork all of a sudden starts to sing in healthy sympathetic resonance. It remembers its song. So your liver has a song. It has a range. Everybody's liver has a range. There's a range for liver. There's a range for small intestine. There's a range for cartilage. So that's what we're doing with the coil. We're giving your body, it's like, come on, buddy, sing, resonate. And when you get the right journey, boop, that's when you have that. You're like, man, Shelley, I really felt like this today. You know, you offer that feedback. So each individual journey, you know, consists of a primer readying the body for sound, elements that were going to help to detoxify toxins and poisons, metabolic microbes, metal toxicity. And then we can select items that you've known or diagnosed, like superbugs or a viral top hit. And then we always have a closing to cool the body down. It's just like cooling down after a workout in a gym. And this is about 7 years of research and development with this specific software. I'm gonna go to one more place. I want to just talk about, let me close this screen for myself. I want to just talk about Relaxol, because I think it's a really good point that Shelley made on, you know, very specifically what happens to the body. And Here
Well,
we
it's just
go.
such a game changer because we know that detoxification begins when we're in a parasympathetic state. And a lot of people, myself included in my investment banking days, find it very hard to get parasympathetic. So any
Yes.
tools and technology we can use, I'm all for. And then understanding what it's doing in our bodies is just like game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at what happens to the heart and the brain.
Fat, oh, heart and brain, my two favorite topics, Freddie.
I love it. So if we go here and we have a system at Ampcoil, which we just started working with called HRVV scan. And what it
Yeah.
does is it scans 300 heartbeats over 5 minutes. And it's going to
How do you
graph those
use,
over an, go
how do you
ahead, Shelly.
use that, Freddie? How this technology that you're using, is that when how is it used?
It's a hardware that hooks up to your left and your right wrists. And then it also has a galvanic skin response. So it measures ECG, so beneficial brainwaves, predominant brainwave states.
Yep.
And so it goes into a box that goes into a computer, totally separate from Ampcoil. But what I've done and been working with the system a lot is scanning people pre and post Ampcoil journeys. And I think it's a little extra insight that we can
Well,
see
we
into the
love
body.
data and we love numbers and we love to know it's working. We might feel it, but sometimes we also like information to back it up. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I've scanned almost 120 people at this point. So what I can tell you is one of the awesome things really is watching a person who has these 300 heartbeats. Now look at this. Look at these heartbeats. Pre ever doing it, this person had never done an Ampcoil. See how tight and clustered they are
wow.
over this. That's like it's like the person's heartbeat. They're like ready to run and flee. It's like fight or flight. And so they get a stress response on this software of 107. It's out of the range.
Whoa.
Healthy range is between 10 and 100. Now, after a few days of Relax All, they drop down to a 27. And you can see how the heartbeats over the X and Y axis are spread out. There's different time signatures between them. Ideally, we want the heartbeats to be like 1 second, 0.8, 0.7, 6 point, 0.65, 0.5. So we want differential. And this lasts. The cool thing about Relax All is it lasts. Like what I've seen is you don't go back to your initial stress response for days and days. So it's cumulative. Like if you want to keep, experiencing this is a cool thing about this system. Another thing that logs the same person, it's going to log their beneficial brainwave states. So we have brainwave states of delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. So you can see this person before they started, they were 42%, 0.5 hertz. 0.5 hertz is a sleeping brain. And this is at 8:00 p.m. This is like not bedtime. This is like awake time, really. So this is a lot of delta wave for a person that's up and awake. It's not ideally there's supplements out there called Alpha Brain from companies like Onnit or Beta, or even really high functioning people that kind of work in gamma. Totally. But this person's brain is, it's like Alpha Brain is like word recall. You're going to get up and do some public speaking. You're going to sit down and write a book, right? You have access to everything you want to say. Now, after a few days of running the coil, we get 100% psycho-emotional state. So left and right hemisphere are communicating, and you can see they went from 42% delta to 4. They went from 10% alpha to 69% alpha. They're in this beneficial brainwave state. It's like a happy brain. Pretty cool, right?
So cool, Freddie. Like, why wouldn't you want to do this? This is where we want our brains to be, to function at our optimal.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that it works. The more you coil, the more you entrain. Like I'm basically living this 100% now all the time. It's really rare unless I don't sleep. If I have a 4-hour night sleep, if I do something to throw my body off, as I felt better and better and better, I'm feeling more and more comfortable going out to restaurants, having a nice clean tequila once in a while, whatever it is, but I can see it affect my sleep. But 99% of the time, I'm in this 100% psycho-emotional state. Now, here's another cool thing that this metric does is it charts you against 10,000 other human beings. It's called a fractal analysis. And it's looking at your life over a timeline. So we had a 52-year-old woman here that we're looking at this scan. And before she started, compared to 10,000 other human beings, she's scoring like a 45-year-old, 7 years younger than her gerontological age. So she's doing pretty good. However, after 4 days of the coil, she's scoring more like a 30-year-old.
That
is
20. And that was only on the Relax All coil.
Just Relax All. So this is 22 years younger, her gerontological curve. So that's a massive improvement. And so we can see the benefit. We can see how this system specifically, and this is not Ampcoil software, this is an independent program, but we can see how important it is to manage your stress response to outside world, outside environment. And that is going to be a predictor of longevity and the absence of disease in your life. So it's a really cool metric to look at. Again, let me stop this. I got to work with some Olympic athletes that I just got to work with too, which was really, really cool. Let me close this down, minimize screen, and then we're I'm watching the time. Don't worry, Shelly. We're going to do deep dive on voice print as well. Let me show you. I got to work with a couple Olympic athletes, the best trainers in New York City at Burn Studios. It's a workout studio where they use cold therapy in the US. They work out in sub 55 degree temperatures. And these people were ripped. And I was going in, I did scans on them. I did Ampcoil brain reboot. And then we did another scan. And my concern was I'm never going to make a shift in these people, right? Because they're elite athletes. You know what I mean? They're already high performers, but it was really cool to see what my experience yielded. Let me go back here and okay, I'm going to go. Are you guys seeing my screen now? Wait.
No, I don't think they will be seeing your screen. It doesn't.
Stop share.
Yeah.
Let's go share. Okay, Here we go. Let me do this. Let me go present. So what we saw here, pre and post a 15-minute Ampcoil journey, this is person one, delta wave 64%. They went all the way to 31% alpha and 42% beta. So a massive jump in beneficial brainwave state after 15, very short. Do you know what I mean? You don't always have to be on the coil for an hour. Sometimes the coil is a great add-on to a vitamin IV, a sauna, a foot bath, massage therapy, emotional freedom tapping, whatever you have time to do. It's not like you have to do it all the time. This girl was amazing. She went from 23% delta down to 8% delta. Let me go back here once. And then to 64% beta from 49%. So, it's that last 3%.
Reboot is only 15 minutes. Who doesn't want to get their brain going every day?
That's kind of my point. I always do it before podcast. My friend, also Lauren Sambataro, the biohacker babes, Renee and Lauren.
Yes.
They both do brain reboot every time they do a podcast.
Oh my gosh. As we're talking, Freddie, I'm better turn that one on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm setting it up.
I love it. So then here's our last person, 83% psycho-emotional state to a 97 in just 15 minutes, 37% delta down to 13. And we could see all these alpha, beta, and even gamma, they got improvement in all these beneficial brainwave states. So the cool thing is even though everybody was doing really good, they still had gains. They still had improvement across the board. Let me jump to, and then I want to do Q&A. Let me jump to the voice print.
Yes,
because what the voice print is doing is and I actually have a slide for this too.
Of course you do, Freddie.
I like visuals, and I think it's helpful because I think it's helpful.
And on the recording, we'll have all the visuals available for everyone. So everyone will be able to see all your visuals.
Beautiful. So we'll go down here. Let me get to this guy. And we'll scroll down. Their guide software. Okay. Voice print. I'm going to share screen. Okay, wonderful. So the voice print, which is located in the side menu of your Better Guide app,
We do it for everyone, Freddie, when they come into clinic, and then we give them their own personalized one.
I love it. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do when I demo people. And, you know, the voice print is very unique. It basically is collecting information from your voice, and it's associating those unique vibrational patterns with items that might need more attention. So the voice print on the Better Guide is sampling sound, and it's going to look for the areas most out of tune. Let me see if I have a drawing feature on this.
And I know that you talk about this really well, but what is it picking up on? Like the frequencies of the voice, do different bacteria or parasites have different frequencies? Like what is it reading, Freddie? Like I know this, but for everyone else.
Yeah, so imagine, let me see if this, so here's a rolling wave of your voice print, right? And here's the stop, and here's the start. And there's multiple waves. So imagine, okay, I remember I said Freddie's an orchestra. So every tissue in my body, every organ, the sum of all the vibrational parts is going to be, what's the expression of it? It's my voice. Every instrument, every oscillating pattern, when I move from my lungs, my lower diaphragmatic region, is expressed in the sound of my voice. Nobody's voice in the whole world sounds like mine. So all these sound curves are charted, right? Also in the Better Guide app, in the app, we've got vibrational patterns that are in the A to Z library. So there's a sound curve for metals 1, or there's a sound curve for Epstein-Barr, or there's a sound curve for...
You know, Epstein-Barr, just in New Zealand, we refer to it as glandular fever, and it's really common for a lot of my clients when I'm muscle testing for glandular fever to turn up.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's quite often there.
So we've got all these things. So we're looking at your voice print, and when we do a voice print, all of a sudden the app is scanning the library and it's looking for hits. It's like, oh, there's a couple hits where we have a match in the curves. Oh, here's some other hits where we've got a match in the sound curves, right? So we're doing most likely matches of your sound curve of all the things in your voice that are going to look at the A to Z library very specifically. And there's sound curves in there for organs. There's sound curves in there for nutritional items. So when you do your scan, you're going to get organs, nutritions, and cleanse. And those results are on a 0 to 100 scale, 100 being your top priority items for that moment in time.
Yeah, that's what I love knowing is the top priority. And so we, in our voice print, like little reports that we do for each client, we put the top 5 priorities from that list for them under each organs, nutrition, and the cleanse.
And with that information, we're going to work with that.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do another voice print until we're done working with that. Because when you, let's just say, let me give you an example. Let's say we're doing like, let's say we're working with something. Oh, I loved how I cleared that. Let's say we're working with something like rickettsia, you know, and we pick the one item for 17 minutes. We're going to do that every other time, 4 times. If you follow the Ampcoil formulas, if you muscle test, that's okay. You can do that too. But we're going to work with that until we're done doing it. And then we're going to do another voice print to move on to something else. Yeah. Because you working on it and cleansing it is going to bring that frequency to that priority. A lot of times people will finish a cleanse, they'll do another voice print and they'll say, hey, this is still coming up. Well, because it's brought to the attention and awareness of your body. Other things that can bring things into the voice print without having it. Remember I said this is less like it's an imprint. You can have an imprint from the news. You can watch the news all day, every day, and like look at a very topical thing that's being presented in every news story and every email. And you can just have this heightened anxiety response and awareness to it. So it's going to come to the top of your voice print. Stress comes to your voice print. So that's one way in which we can use this tool to better customize, let me close this, to better customize your cleanse, especially when we're talking about the voice. And there's a great video in our Ampcoil Academy to look at that voice print and to kind of be able to understand how you can use that information to work with it for your customized plan. That can be really, really helpful. I usually have that queued up if people want to watch that when they're coming in maybe the first or second time to work with me and understand, you know, how this works and how we would build a program that's unique and individual for you. I think for me, one thing that's so important is that with Ampcoil, sooner or later, it's really beneficial to work with what we call our barrier item cleanse. And our barrier item cleanse is our 6 items that are the most beneficial to help the body with as far as a vibrational pattern. That's metals 1, metals 2, it's roundworms, it's yeast candida, it's fungus top hits, and there's one more, and I always forget it. But there's 6 items in our guide, in our manual, that are notorious for allowing other things to be in the body. And we know this to be other camps, right? If you talk to AMD, Ionic Cleanse Foot Bath, they know that metals 1 and metals 2, or the metals family, is going to allow parasites to exist in the body. It shuts down cell-to-cell communication. It changes your voltage. It changes your alkalinity. It changes how energy exists in your body. We know this with parasites. We know that with from the cell core family of supplements of detoxification, when we have parasitic infections, it doesn't really do us a lot of good to look at really, really small viruses and bacteria, because if you don't work with parasites first, which are really, really big, all those small infections will be they're opportunistic on those big parasites. So a lot of these schools of thought, they do overlap, and it really is common sense. So when we say barrier items, those are like the big cleanses. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I had an influencer last week from the United States, and she started to do metals 1 and roundworms, and she sent me pictures of her legs. Her whole legs were like broken out with hives and all these red spots all over. And she's like, I'm going to stop. I'm like, listen, your body's letting go of something through the largest organ, the skin. If you could support your body through an Epsom salt bath, a foot bath, or a sauna, that might be a good way, or a binder, a charged charcoal or volcanic ash, that might really help your body move through this. And of course, she's like, I can't believe she's owned an Ampcoil for a year and a half. She's like, I just got through a cleanse, and she's like, I feel the best I've ever felt. So I always tell people, well, sometimes they're not the most fun. And that is sometimes. Some people do cleanses and they're totally fine. Nothing happens. They're totally fine. I can tell you, I get a little more sleepy, and I can definitely, I can do it at night. It'll pass me out for the night because it's just a tax on my body. And I benefit from those. I feel better. My body responds better. Everything works better when I do that.
It's amazing, Freddie. Should we open it up to see if anybody's got any questions?
I talked so much, yes.
Well, don't worry, Freddie. We can get you back again because we love everything that you've got to say. Marilyn or Ali, do you guys have any questions for Freddie? Now's your time.
The thing that I noticed after I had the voice imprint thing, and then I did notice after I'd had it, I don't know whether, I didn't specifically relate it to the Ampcoil, but I did say to Shelley at my last session that I'd noticed my voice had really changed. Ooh. And it was lower, and I'm a singer, so I really noticed that there's a greater freedom and a greater depth of tone. I had no idea why, but it was great.
What kind of singer are you?
Soprano.
Beautiful.
Marilyn, if you go onto my YouTube channel and you listen to my videos from 3 years ago when I first started doing videos for clients, my voice has changed a lot. And it's okay. And I haven't done anything from obviously you're way more advanced from a singing side of you, but this is just literally from getting rid of the bacteria, the mold, the parasites. You will literally listen to how deep or how the voice has shifted. It's phenomenal. I find it amazing listening to that and tracking it and just subtly seeing these changes.
I will go. I'll do that, Shelley.
I know you will, Marilyn. You love a good bit of research. And be like, is she telling the truth on this?
I am.
Ampcoil is.
Yeah. And if I could offer one thing just to be supportive for that, because I'm a huge singer. That was a huge part of my life. I've found that again, living in that parasympathetic state allows everything, my larynx, I have flexibility, I have greater range. You know, when I get tight and tense and the vagal nerve tone is compromised, I see your vagus nerve stimulator oil there.
I love this, Freddie.
Everything like tight, it all pulls up. It's all contraction. My shoulders get up here. Because again, the voice is not here. It's like all the way down to like that pubic bone, all the way into your heels and your feet. Like that's where that diaphragm muscle attaches at the bottom. So using that full expansion of your resonance, and that's something that complementary with the Ampcoil. The other things that will really help your voice is continuing to focus on minerals and mineral balance, because as you detoxify and your body lets go of metals, which are junk car parts, your body will be looking to replace those receptor sites with beneficial minerals. And those are all your, you know, whatever mineral, I use CT minerals from Cellcore right now. I've used Ketone Scientific, which I love, which is a C plasma.
I love.
They're really good.
We love.
You love Cellcore, right? It tests very well.
Tests so well.
I'm drinking Carboxy right now, which it's a mold binder, which I could never, I was doing like a pinprick and it would wipe me out. And it's the most effective mold binder I've ever taken in my life. I just, you know, it's only a practitioner supplement, you know. Oh, it says we've only got 1 minute left.
See, that's why I timed it, because me and you could talk forever. So Ellie, you get a quick moment to jump in. Otherwise we will do part 2 with Freddie, don't worry.
You know, that's okay. No, it's just really interesting to kind of build on all the things that I've been reading about it and stuff, and understanding how it's impacting my body. So that's good. I've definitely noticed a difference between when I had the relaxed one. I've definitely felt more energized after that, joined with the sauna. And then when I had the detox one, I told you last time I had like a headache for like 2 days. So yeah.
So if you don't believe this little computer screen is doing anything with this little coil, you only need an experience, and you're like, okay, I don't necessarily understand technology, but I've experienced something in my body. So Freddie, I'm going to say thank you so much for your time today. And we are definitely part 2. So this was just, we'll put this out so everyone can listen to it and understand it, and then we'll come back to you with more.
Maybe we can just do a Q&A next time and just save it for everybody just to be back on.
So we can send all this out, get everyone on the same page, and then do part 2 Q&A.
Great, I love it.
Thank you, Freddie. Have a lovely Sunday.
So glad we could.
Thank you so much
connect.
for giving up your Sunday. Like, thank you.
Of course, yeah.
See you, Freddie. It helps to have a team.
Good to see you. Bye, Linda.
Bye, Freddie.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
And also on the YouTube.